Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the cottage. I'm Joey, the Veiled Cottage Witch, and this is another episode of my Celtic Ogham series. I am so happy that we are moving right along, and we have come to Straif Blackthorn, the 14th Ogham in the series, and the fourth tree or shrub on the branch of introspection. And right here, this is the Ogham, as sad as it looks. That was my doing. Let's look at this one. We have 4 slashies, and this is actually on Blackthorn, so that's why it's so cool. So this is the ST, the double S, and the Z in the Celtic alphabet. And this is known as the Dark Mother of the Woods. Yes. We'll get into why in a little bit. But let's check out our beautiful pictures that we have here. We have the actual wood here, the bark, beautiful flowers, the lovely leaves of the blackthorn. And then here we see the beautiful flowers, and we get to see some of the sloes or the blackthorn berries. And here's that face. Yes, right here. The nose, the mouth. I love that. I love the faces. You know, I get a kick out of the faces. So blackthorn is a tree of the hedge, a tree of darkness and mysterious powers. It is actually the counterpart of the hawthorn tree, or the shadow side, if you will, of the hawthorn tree. That's often feared as the ill-omened tree because it bears large spikes. Now, I do not have my blackthorn here, but this is a very large spiked mesquite. And I'll be talking about that little piece in a little bit. So it is a defensive tree, has large spikes with lovely white flowers against black pearly bark in the early spring. Now, its wood and its thorns have been sought for protective purposes for ages by the folk practitioner, who are still finding many uses for its sharp spines and blasting wands, which is what this little guy is, while its bitter purple fruits have been employed for different medicines and hedgerow preserves for centuries. And those little black berries are called sloes, as in sloe gin. So if you've had sloe gin, you've had the berries of the blackthorn. Now, straif, the sign of, or the sigil of the Ogham, means sulfur, which is a substance with a long history of associations with the other world or the underworld, including the Christian hell, if you want to go there. Blackthorn's association with death and battle and transformation can also be seen in the 3 colors that are found in it. So red for the blood, white for spirit, and black for death. And these correspond to the red sap that you get from the wood, the white of the flowers, and the black bark. You could barely see this face because of how black that bark is. Now, these colors are especially sacred to the Irish goddess, the Morrigan, the great queen, the phantom queen, the sovereign queen. However she is called, she oversees matters of war, death, sexuality, and prophecy. So blackthorns is one of the first trees to blossom at the end of winter, even before its leaves have even unfurled. Those flowers spring up. But also, it is associated with the crone or the dark goddess, the Kaliak, or the winter hag, but also with fertility and endurance over tough circumstances. Now, cold springs, when other plants and trees blossom late, they used to be called blackthorn winters, as they were the only blossoms to break through at that time. Often known as the dark mother of the woods, blackthorn is always associated with magical binding and testing, not unlike the Morrigan. Now, connected to magicians and sorcerers, blackthorn cautions that access to the other world and its magical powers require clarity, caution, experience, and an awareness of the dangers as well as its blessings. Now, this connotation is perhaps distantly reflected in the traditional tale that blackthorn comprised Jesus's crown at the crucifixion. And it implies a shamanic and magical initiation was underway. So I can't imagine how awful these spikes would feel at the crown of the head, but I can imagine not too good. Now, blackthorn is also said to be sacred to the Irish god of death, Don of the Milesians, and at one time it was used to curse and discipline. Blackthorn's testing qualities also control chaotic and chthonic forces, hence its association with death. So, yeah, not the funnest switch to be chased by, no. Now, there is a strong connection in Celtic lore between the otherworld, the dead, and fairy races. And in Irish, the word she, S-I-D-H-E, means ancestor, fairy, and hollow hill. This latter referring to the burial mounds in which the fairies are said to dwell. Now, these burial mounds also function as entry points into the other world. And because of this connection, blackthorn is a popular word for calling up the fairy wild hunt. Now, the fairy raid of the horned god and his hounds to gather lost souls and bring them to the realm of the dead is known as the wild hunt, and blackthorn is sacred to and the very dwelling place of the Liananshi, fairy beings who are fierce lovers and highly protective of the tree. And they will not allow any wood to be cut from it without permission, and never at the sacred fairy times of Beltane and Samhain. It was just strictly forbidden. Now, blackthorn is associated with blasting rods, and this is my sad comparison with blasting rods. But we're going to put up some real blasting rods. Now, these were wands tipped with blackthorn thorns, which are very large and sharp and very long. Now, these rods were used for cursing, but the thorns also have application for healing. Goes both ways. Rather like acupuncture needles, you know? They can be used on puppets or dolls made of cloth or wax, used to represent a particular person in distance healing. Now, unfortunately, this association of blackthorn and black magic also led to superstitions where the Christian devil was said to prick his initiates on the finger or shoulder with a blackthorn needle, leaving a witch mark. Now, these marks added to the hysteria of witch hunts and served as evidence to accuse anyone with scratches or birthmarks of any kind. Because of this connection, blackthorn was used in pyres for burning witches at the stake. Isn't that sad? I mean, blackthorn has so many good uses. And, just say you accidentally scratched yourself. Well, you were a witch. And that's it. There was no discussion to it. Very sad. Now, blackthorn walking sticks or staffs were used by dark witches in times past. It was believed that they could curse someone just by pointing the stick at them. Similarly, if a blackthorn staff was pointed at a pregnant woman, she could miscarry. Yeah, can you imagine? Just pointing it at someone? Yeah. Now, the staffs were also thought to protect against dark witchcraft, as the lore goes both ways with many plant beliefs, depending on the perspective and location. Now, if hung above the door of a home or if harvested on a full moon, the blackthorn walking stick was supposed to protect against supernatural evils. Blackthorn scratch often leaves wounds that turn septic. And then, when tipped with poison, the thorns made a discreet weapon ideal for befalling enemies. When used in this way, blackthorn was known as the pin of slumber. Does that remind you guys of any certain Disney tale? Well, this is possibly the origin of the tale of Sleeping Beauty, who pricked her finger on a poisoned spindle and fell into a very deep, death-like slumber. An impenetrable barrier of thorns grew up around her sleeping palace, which only the power of love could penetrate. Yep, that's all blackthorn. Now, the juice of the sloe, the berries of the blackthorn, make a permanent ink, and the whole fruit yields a strong red dye. The color red is synonymous with death in Irish legend, and it's also the color of the association with Mars, which together with Saturn is the blackthorn's ruling planets. How's about that? That's interesting, right? So the lesson of the blackthorn is that the blackthorn was respected as a cantankerous old crone, the hag aspect of the white goddess, whose thorns remind us of our own negative attitudes that tear us apart. Makes sense, right? These attitudes also take root and grow into impenetrable thickets if they are left unchecked. We are advised to look at the many ways in which we hurt ourselves and others, and to think of ways to prevent this. When we face up to our own negativity, blackthorn guides us through the darker parts of our personality, helping us to pay off spiritual debts and to accept the inevitability of our own death, which is the one thing of earth we can all be certain. We cannot escape death, right? It happens. Death and taxes. All right. So when we get to practical and magical uses, we could like to talk about strong barriers. And that is said to help keep the Romans out of Anglesey, the Druid stronghold. Now, this physical quality reflects its psychic qualities of creating excellent psychic barriers and boundaries that grow stronger still by gathering, transmuting, and returning the negative energies of trespassers. So it has this physical quality that also echoes that psychic quality. Now, the blackthorn is totally impenetrable against all attack and can only be crossed with love and trust, as seen in the tale of Sleeping Beauty, right? The thicket surrounding the enchanted castle is made of blackthorn, and together with hawthorn and wild rose, they weave a spell of protection for the young princess and her emergent sexuality. The prince, in turn, is initiated into manhood and becomes worthy of the princess by his love, the test of which is facilitated by the fierce blackthorn and its fence of spears. Now, this testing and initiating leads the seeker closer to karmic issues. This relationship to the transformation of the spirit after death helps us initiate changes in ourselves and our circumstances, making it the archetypal magician's wand capable of making great shifts in reality. Isn't that kind of surreal? It does this with great ruthlessness and severity of necessity, concerned more with the soul's growth than our comfort. Yeah. In this way, the crone's face can be seen, bringing on the transformations of death and rebirth, full of contradictions as the impersonal force of nature. Yet, its beautiful white blossoms remind that even in the darkest places, the light can still be found. And in the most trying of times, dawn grows ever near. Befriend the blackthorn when you're encountering difficulties or initiations. And if you have permission from the tree spirit, carry a little of its wood or leaves or the Ogham sigil itself, or burn it as a protective charm or incense. Now, to prepare outdoor ritual space, strew crumbled dried blackthorn leaves around the area. This will also boost magical energy and may attract fairies. So beware of that. And if the thorns are not available, draw the Ogham straif with your 4 slashes on small stones to use in their place. And then you can set a whole circle around using that Ogham. To honor and connect with the energy of this legendary fairy tree, sprinkle a little blackthorn flower essence on a stone marked with straif and place it on your altar. To strengthen the energy of a spell, crumble and burn a few leaves. Alternately, draw its Ogham on a piece of parchment paper to use in place of the leaves. The sloes can also be used to strengthen spells. They can be dried and used as amulets for protection or to help gain control of a situation. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and do linked concepts. So here's your key words for when to use your Ogham sigil for your magic. So here we go. Transformation, death, banishing, binding, prophecy, protection, cursing, negativity, fairy magic, and defensive magic. All right. Now, here we are with correspondences. Your elements are earth and fire. Your zodiac, Aries, Scorpio, and Virgo. Your deities, Banda, Belenos, the Dagda, Loki, the Morrigan, Hale, Maka, and Run. And the color is bright purple. Your totems, wolf, toad, black cat, bee, butterfly, hedgehog, the thrush, ravens and crows, and vultures. the calendar day, and I wanted to bring something up as soon as I tell you guys, and I don't want you to get confused. So September 5th to October 2nd, and it's the 12th lunation, and it shares this with Magickal reed, so, or fern. So it shares the month of September with this guy. And I didn't tell you because I forgot that coal hazel and court apple share the 9th lunation, which is June and July. So make sure you make a note in your notes from coal hazel and court apple. They share the 9th lunation. So I had forgotten that 2 of them share. So there we go. All right. I said it. I didn't want to forget it, but I did. And I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it this time. All right. Related species is going to be your firethorn, your roses, and any shrubby, thorny, dark wooded shrubs. So I have mesquites everywhere. So I thought that they would be a lovely substitution. So this is my blasting thorn. This is my blasting rod because it has a nice little hook up top, and I have not had a chance to use it yet, but I'm ready to use it when I need it. So it's in a very special place for me. So I just hope I don't hurt myself on it trying to get it down and put it back up. All right. On to healing. And there's a big warning here, guys, before we get in. The leaves and seeds of the prunus family that the blackthorn is from, the whole prunus family contains cyanide, okay, which can be fatal if ingested in excess. Like, no kidding. So sensible caution should always be used, and always seek the advice of a qualified herbalist before taking regularly or in any quantity. So let's just take the leaves and the seeds off the table for ingestion. Let's just take them off the table. All right. The culinary uses of blackthorn include making sloe gin, as well as jams and jellies from its bitter black fruit. And herbally, the blackthorn flowers and fruit are both tonic, and an infusion of either the flowers or fruit is useful for stomach problems and urinary infections. So very good for you. It's also good for helping defend against colds and flu, as well as sore throats, mouth infections, and rheumatism. So that's awesome. It is sometimes said that an infusion of the bark is good for nervous disorders. So we've got the berries and the bark and the flowers up for grabs. An infusion of blackthorn flowers was sometimes used to treat diarrhea in children, as it is quite mild. Blackthorn flower infusion is also used to clear the skin of toxins by cleansing the blood and liver. Now, as a flower essence, blackthorn can be used to bring about change from hardened, solidified circumstances. It gives the strength to deal with karmic issues and to heal the shadow side of our natures. It brings light to those stuck in severe darkness. For this reason, it also helps heal trauma and soul damage. It helps in contacting the wild spirit of nature. Reconnection with this energy restores our natural state and vital well-being. Wonderful. It has so many good sides. It really, really does. But you know, you have to be able to deal with the dark in order to get to the light. Now, divination meanings. If you draw strafe upwards with the roots down, it can mean division, conflict, a need for healthy boundaries. All right. You know, I mean, you got to take the, you got to get past the dark to see the light, right? Now, if reversed with the roots up, it means you could be open to attack, right? Your defenses are down. And this could be emotionally or physically. So that's very strong need for boundaries, a strong need for defenses. Okay. All right. So that was Straif Blackthorn. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. Lots of lore, but hopefully you were able to sift what you wanted and to leave the rest with that. So hope you got a kick out of my tiny little blasting rod here. Yeah, I wish I had a bigger one, but you know, it's not the size that matters. It's the intent, right? Okay. Please give this video a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Next, we have Ruiz Elder. So we're going to talk about the elder tree. So you don't want to miss that. We're going to finish up the branch of introspection, and then we'll be heading on to the branch of wisdom. We'll have earned that wisdom. So there you go. That's what's coming up next. Please visit my website where you can book a reading, book a service, book a class, book a workshop. A lot of my classes are available through video chat. So hit me up through there if you'd like to set that up. If you do shop my holistic healing or ritual and spell aids, be sure to at checkout enter that code word, all caps veiled, to get your free shipping. That is my gift from me to you just for watching this video. If you'd like to financially support this channel or leave me a little tip, you can do that. There's 3 ways to do that down below in the description box, but not necessary, but you know, I sure would appreciate it. But least you can do is live your best life and live for yourself. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.